Good morning, everyone. My name is Gabriel Ling from Faculty of Built Environment and Surveying. And today I would like to present you a topic entitled Multidisciplinarity in Urban and Regional Planning Education from a social-ecological system perspective. Now, these are my team members, all of them from Fabu. We work together in this. Now, this is the table of content. Um, Basically, there are four primary components will be covered. First, since this is dealing with a city, then we're going to talk about what are cities. Second, the urban planning industry and education system. Third, the social ecological system framework, which is the core component that we like to advocate. And after understanding this, we're going to adapt the SES framework, the social ecological system framework, into urban planning pedagogy context. Okay. Now, what are cities? Cities, in short, we can see that here is that this is a system. What does a system mean? System is the different components that are interrelated with each other. If one component has been affected, it probably affects the other one. That is kind of a systemic city we are talking about. So, for example, a city is composed of many components: facilities, built environment, buildings, infrastructures, transports, and most importantly, human agents. And we know that dealing with human can be very complex. So that is the system itself. So by that nature, urban planning, urban management, or urban governance can be very challenging because we're going to deal with so many things at the same time. So further developments in urban planning, we're going to look at spatial analysis, social physics, sociological, and political science. In other words, multidisciplinarity is crucial in this case. And this is to tell you why multidisciplinarity is rather important in this case, because not only a city is a system, a city is also faced with many challenges as globalization happens. For example, informal settlement, inadequacy of public transport or inadequacy of affordable housing, as well as insufficiency of public open space provision, quality and enough open spaces for the public. This is like 1 billion people, or 25% of the world population in 2015, live in informal settlements. 50% is in Asia Pacific countries. The urban planning industry and education system. Now let's take a look. Now, build environment knowledge. We need to we need to integrate with urban economics, geography, and sociology. Now, basically, in urban planning or built environment educations, we have two core components. First is aspirational learning based on your experience, it means. The second one is multidisciplinary approach. Students are exposed to the real world because they're dealing with people. They need to interview to get some ideas. How does a problem happen? And through that exposure, they can provide them insights on the reality of urban planning and management. And this exploration learning is also about exploration. They can actually, what have they learned theoretically, they can triangulate with this exploration learning, which is important to enhance their knowledge, their understanding. Now, the second component is a multidisciplinarity or multidisciplinary approach. Will be the focus. First is what does it mean? It basically means that it is an integration of more than one discipline. Like you're going to talk about urban economics and political science, something like that, and enhances students' critical thinking. Why is it so important? Because cities itself, as I mentioned earlier, is a system whereby you're not dealing with just one single component. We are dealing with diverse and very broad, uh, different things. Therefore, you need a broader perspective. Therefore, multidisciplinarity can be a good choice. Well, this is as an alternative because it allows them to synthesize and choose best methods to explain cities' complexities. But we do understand that there are some challenges in implementing multidisciplinarity. You know, one of them is institutional culture and practical, and of course knowledge fragmentation because most of us want to just specialize in one specific discipline and probably neglect the remaining or the other parts of knowledge or disciplines. So the question here is how do you balance generalists and specialists? I know there is one phrase, it goes something like jack of all trades, master of none. It's like people may be afraid that they know everything, but they cannot specialize in certain things. It is quite unique, especially in the case of urban regional planning, because sometimes we do need generalists who can have that overview, but at the same time, we believe that everyone has their own niche area or niche focus that they can focus on and specialize in. So what I'm trying to say is that you don't have to be just a specialist without and neglect or avoiding to know or understand other parts of knowledge or other disciplines. It will be more convincing as an urban manager to be a generalist, and at the same time, he has this overview or helicopter view of many things. So multidisciplinary approach can be done in many ways, and one of the ways we try to advocate the social-ecological or SES framework by this Eleanor Ostrom, and it is to help different disciplines to communicate with each other, and it is built on the IAD, Institutional Analysis Development Framework. Now, the characteristics here is that allows students and educators to use it because it is flexible and it is elaborate, means it is quite detailed in terms of components, subcomponents, and there are many variables that can be embedded in those categories. Now, this is some basic attributes or components. Here, resource, whereby we can put the environment. The governance, we talk about institutional resource, and actors, of course. This is the human agents, governments, private sectors, and the public. This is another way to demonstrate how these components are interrelated and and then therefore there is an outcome. And of course, besides from this encapsulated box, you have the three big or broader components that also affect indirectly the outcome. So this is the some resource attributes within the system, resource system, and size or space, any spatial attributes. For example, we talk about shape, location, and even many things. The building size, the capacity. And I would like to emphasize that all these variables or sub-variables can be changed depending whether or not they are fit to explain your context. Same goes to the resource you need. And governance system, we're going to deal with rules, any penalties, any monitoring system, any conflict mechanism, you know. And lastly, this is the most important thing because it kind of complicate the whole thing because of the human agents. Then we also need to study their attributes, their natures or characteristics. What will be the public group size, their socio-economic status, their income, their educations, and demographic profile. Is there any leaders? Do they have any knowledge with respect to, for example, resource? Now, before I forget, I need to explain that actually SES originally, it is mainly used for resource management and governance. And if we're going to look at a city as a resource, then that would be perfectly fine, because indeed we need to make sure that the city is well functioning, is not sick, and economically speaking, it is at the optimal level where it has this highest and best use. So everything is well functioning. So if those components just now, there are three big components. If once they interrelate, then we can see, is there any monitoring system, sanctioning means a penalty system, conflict resolution, and all this. Basically, it is hypothesized that if we have this thing on implemented, then therefore a city is fine. But how do we make sure that is there any monitoring system? It all depends on these factors. So, and then once the process, it has the outcome, but maybe the outcome, only two types of outcome. The city is good, city is not good, or maybe more special, more specific, city with high urban crime, medium crime, and last one, low urban crime. That can be the way how you want to contextualize this SES into. Now, this is adaptation of SES. Basically, at the end of the day, this SES to help students or academicians to structure their thought process, because after having that kind of framework, you can structure your thoughts and your line of argument in a more systematic and coherent or logical manner. Then you know which components or which factors actually play greater or more significant role in explaining certain outcome of a city. Now, let's take an example of these factors affecting rate of informal settlements. Now, we're going to use that framework and contextualize it to explain why informal settlements problems still occurring, despite the fact that many ways or measures have been proposed. Well, we're going to look at the resource system as the cost of living poverty line. Maybe because of this, you see the poverty, the cost of living are still very high. The cost of living is very high and the poverty line is very low. And therefore, informal settlements are still happening. Or maybe there is no rules or regulations, you see. Therefore, it's not enacted. The population may be too big, and therefore countries cannot cope to providing or accommodating too many slums. And therefore, again, informal settlements happen. Now, this is there are many reasons we can actually explain why informal settlements problems in Malaysia cannot subside. So in conclusion, it is important for us to, as an educator or academicians and students, to use SES framework, because it allows students and academicians to systematically view problems from a variety of lenses: physical, biophysical, social, and institutional aspects, and therefore we can deliver a cohesive and pragmatic solution. I think that's all for my presentation today. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.